It's time. Hey everybody, welcome to another live stream with me, Anna. Welcome. I just ran into my table. It starts. um, Welcome everybody. It's been a long time. I haven't been streaming quite as regularly as I used to, but that is something that I would love to improve. What do you guys think? Should I stream more often? Let me know because I kind of love it. So, um, I'm gonna stream this Sunday for about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, and then next Sunday as well. So put that on your calendars. I announced it on Instagram today and in Twitter and a few other places as well. But I haven't been very active. I recently moved houses, went to ZBrush with Maxon to actually do some a presentation, which, by the way, I'm gonna pull that up real quick and show you. Because that's what we're working on today. We're going to try to finish, or at least improve, the current model that I'm supposed to be working on, because I would like to put it on my art station. That's my only goal. If I had one goal for 2022, wait, it's not even the right year. If I had one goal for 2022, it would be to finish my mermaid model. If I had two goals, it would be to figure out where am I, who am I, what year this is, the basics. Hey, yo, Don. Welcome back. How have you been? I'm good. I am sick. And if you actually look behind me, there's mess everywhere. There's boxes and things like that. But you know what? We are making it. We're making it through. That's what matters. For 2022. Hi, Kaisedo. How are you doing today? I'm doing perfect. Just no complaints. How are you doing today? Let me pull up the video for the SIGGRAPH presentation. So Maxon graph 2023 on let's see if they've already cut it. Normally what they do is they'll have like a big old day, you know. Oh look, I'm live now. Who'd have thought? So they have like a big old day, and then eventually they'll cut this up into like smaller streams. Let's see if I can find my stream. I don't remember if I'm like one of the first. Oh, there it is. So one of the cool things I did was I took a nice little sculpt, like just a little sculpt from ZBrush, and I put it into Unreal. And what we did that was cool was that we basically skipped over all the necessary steps basically for making it real time by just doing it automatically. So this is kind of what the final render looked like in Unreal. And by the way, I'm gonna be at the ZBrush Summit, so if any of you guys are there, please say hi to me. But I'm gonna be teaching you how to do this via a workshop. So if you sign up for my workshop, you'll be able to actually follow along there in person with me on the computers. And we will do speed sculpting and then followed by some Unreal, and I'll show you guys everything you need to know. But if you can't be at the ZBrush Summit, then please, you know, watch this lecture, because it was super fun and it was really nice to make. And you know, it just kind of like leveled up our real-time rendering in the easiest way possible, so to speak. And you know, I would love to put this on my ArtStation like I was saying, but we gotta jazz this up a little. And you know, if you guys agree, do you guys agree with me? Like if you actually look closely at the model, which is like something you shouldn't necessarily always do, is like give people a close-up of something that looks bad. But if you actually look at my model up close, you'll notice that, for example, the ears, they're just like basically a plane that's been like slightly warped to be ear shaped. And then there's triangulated from when I made it. So a lot of this is still in the block out stages. And you know, I just had to kind of like speed through it to get it into Unreal in order to be able to get the lecture like all set up. But I would love to, you know, refine it a little bit. Let's work on the skin a little bit. Let's work on the details, break symmetry, improve the painting, do better emissive maps so that she glows prettier. You know, there's so much we can do. And again, I think I can find here what the final... Yeah, so this is what the final current version looks like. So, you know, it was one of those situations where you gotta ship something. But if you actually look closely again at the ears, which is basically the worst part, we're gonna be working on the ears today if you guys can't figure that part out. But look, the emissive maps that makes it glow and shiny, it's kind of just, you know, we're simple semi-gradient here. You know, we can do better than this. We can do better. What do you guys think? I hope you feel better. Glad you are back. I am, you know, I'm feeling better than I was, like all things considered. So, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I would love to hear y'all's opinions, by the way, on the color scheme. Like, what do I do with it? Do you want me to change it? Do you think it should stay the same? Please let me know. And then we're going to start with an autosave, of course, as is customary. Anthony Scarcelli, I'm glad to be back as well. How are you doing today? Let me pull up the PureRef. I use PureRef. It's a free software that you can use for your reference right here. And I'm going to load up my mermaid scene if I still have it. Guys, by the way, I'm going to be sniffling today. I hope you can forgive. I think I don't even have any saved. Oh, there it is. This is the reference here, but I think it's quite eclectic. One of the favorite busts that I saw of like these like feminine, woodsy or aquatic creatures with very ethereal color palettes and kind of like monstrous designs, you know. That's kind of like what I based this baby on. Plus the mermaid from the God of War, the new God of War game as well. So let's get right into it, why don't we? So if you guys have any suggestions for the process, please let me know. I'm just gonna kind of wing the ears here and just kind of go with the flow as far as like what my artistic sense of intuition tells me. Guys, tell me if you've ever felt that way. Like, do you ever feel like the model or the drawing, it just tells you what it needs next, right? Like, sometimes you think that, I don't know, it's almost like just intuitively, you just kind of know what it needs. So we're gonna see if I can get there. Unfortunately, it's not really letting me do a mask points. Oh, there it is. Split mask points. And I masked out the ears, which were still not even dynameshed into the head. And we're gonna split that off and see if it works. I love PureRef, may be one of my favorite lightweight programs in a while. Simple but necessary. It is super simple and necessary. You see Diablo Lilith in here? Where is she? There she is. That's like a fan art from ArtStation that I saw of her, but she is super cool. Ever since I like got into the Diablo Lilith design, I've seen her everywhere. Like there's every fantasy game has one, you know, like their own version of the Lilith. So I'm gonna start by like, I've made this model pretty big in ZBrush standards because, you know, it had to go into Unreal, and by ZBrush, like the default ZBrush models can sometimes be so tiny. So I made it big, but that means that the brushes, you know, they can't be big enough. So we can fix that by going to Preferences, Draw, and then change the max brush size really big. And that way the brush can get bigger than before. So kind of thing. We need big brushes, right? Big brushes are great for big changes, is what I like to say, like big global changes. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the ears a little bit. Why don't we? I'd probably choose the move brush for this. And I think I'm going to start by doing a little ZBrush because this thing is super triangulated, and if you know anything about that, you know that it's might be kind of a bad idea to do that. You know, it just doesn't quite sculpt well in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go to Geometry, ZBrush, and I'm going to make the target polygon count a little smaller. Because it's a small ear, you know, maybe even smaller than that. I like my low poly being pretty decently low poly, you know. Let's check it out with the poly frame here. And seems fine. I wouldn't say that this is the final shape I want the ears to take, but it's good enough for now, and I can just ZBrush more in a little bit. For example, I kind of want, you know, the entire kind of ear anatomy to start coming in. So I'm going to start by getting right here in the middle, in the part nearest to the face. I'm gonna kind of push in a cavity so it actually looks like she has, you know, an ear hole, I guess would be the way to put it. And if I need to, I'll go back on the head and just kind of make a hole there as well so that they don't overlap. And then we're just gonna carefully create a more 3D form for the ears. You know, just kind of enjoying the process. Ears are so hard to make. Who here has struggled with ears before? I know it's quite a few of you. So, you know, I know that they're tricky, and I actually have a lot of good tips on how to make these. In the past, I've taught how to make ears in my workshop a bunch of times, and it's a pretty fun little process once you actually like get past the whole, you know, torture of it all. For this one, I'm just kind of like riffing on the anatomy a little bit. Like I'm not going too crazy trying to recreate like a proper anatomically correct ear, but if we wanted to, I'm pretty sure I have some like reference here that could get the job kind of done. Like curving this inward. I just use a lot of clay buildup and a lot of damn standard for this part. And move brush, of course. Basically my entire process, right, is and then back to the head, just kind of gently creating a little bit of a hole there. And I don't, again, not gonna be too human of an ear. Kind of wanted a little bit of a shadow. Then we can kind of have a little bit of fun with the clay buildup. Remembering that these ears are so thin that if you start sculpting on it, you might mess up the backside. So what we can do is on the brush, let me move this off to the other screen. On the brush itself, we can go to auto masking and turn on backface mask. And that way, if we do one thing to one side, it will automatically mask the backside and it won't get deformed. That's a really good little like tip that most people get taught as beginners, but I like to point it out because it's pretty worthwhile to remember. Odon says, you know I have, especially in the beginning, struggling with years. I don't know what you're saying that was useful, that you didn't know was on here, but I'm really glad I was able to help. That's what happens if I just go on a ramble, and then you guys start responding to what I'm saying, and like, that is super useful, and I'm like, what did I say? I don't remember. Thank you, though. Ears are big pain most of the time. They really are. Yeah, but just like anything else, I think sculpture is all about kind of just paying attention to the forms and the reference. It's a big step. You know, if you can do observational studies, you can do anything. You can make anything. And sure, there will be like better methods for this and that, like hard surface and whatnot. But when it comes to actually creating the shapes, you just gotta pay attention to what the shapes normally look like. And I'm just kind of like drawing on that ear. Where I wish. The damn standard, we gotta make sure that we turn on backface mask for that too. The backface mask button is kind of a thing that happens per brush. Although I do think that there's an option somewhere inside of ZBrush to do changes to all brushes at once, but you know, just keep that in mind. Today I went to the flea market. Very cute. I bought some shells, guys. They're like such good reference. Take a little moment to appreciate my new shells. They're all polished though. There were some like really good like fully natural shells, and I was like, oh my god, nature is so freaking beautiful. I can't comprehend it, and I can't appreciate it enough. It feels like sometimes, like, you know. Are you ever so in awe? Ever since I became like, I think ever since I became 18 years old, I became dissatisfied by how little it felt like I could actually take things in at once. I was like, I want to be able to see like 360 all over the room. I want to see everything. I want to, you know, when I'm at a museum, I want to enjoy every detail. And I'm just like, but I can't. That's not really the way. I just become kind of impatient. Kind of how I felt with nature right now. Oh, I just need the max brush size. Hell yeah. Lucas, hi Anna, just a question. What have you done in your career that you felt was the turning point, the thing that brought significant changes to it? I think it was building, like actively trying to build a reputation, not just online, but in person. So like becoming known for my work ethic and my like being relatively easy to work with, being really dedicated, you know, that kind of stuff has gotten me so many doors opened. Oh no. Save this. I just froze it. Whoop. Like something. Oh no. Help. Let me save this project as well. There's like a button around here that does this. I might have to restart. I don't know how to fix this necessarily, but I would say that that's the biggest thing. And that includes, you know, posting work online, streaming, going to networking events, trying to be recognized by my teachers and peers in college, trying to be recognized by my teachers and my coworkers, you know. So that was a turning point for me. What kind of resources would you recommend to learn ZBrush? Try Z Classroom on the Cineversity website. I actually made a tutorials for that, and it's like 27 videos on how to learn ZBrush, and it's like broken down super easy. So I'm pretty biased, but I've gotten a lot of good compliments from that. A lot of people have learned ZBrush using those videos, so I recommend it 100%. Comics Legend. Hi Anna, good to see you. Do you normally sculpt in perspective? So I have a habit of forgetting to turn on perspective. The times I always work with perspective is when I'm making something for a project and I know what, like for a real project, not just like a render for Instagram or something, you know, because I do those a lot, or a demo for class. When I'm working on a real project, I try to find out, oh no, where did I not save? That would be kind of when I'm working we can do it better just a second. I try to find out what the actual perspective will be of the final project, and then I will just use that. That avoids any issues, especially because I was working in VR for a long time, and you know that I had a very particular perspective situation going on. So if you work with the wrong perspective or an orthographic, you will get a shock once you see it in the final product. What's the best way to learn sculpting stylized portraits? I would recommend maybe Shane Olsen's course. I have a few workshops on this on my website as well. We'll be attending the 10th anniversary of the ZBrush Summit. I will be. Yes, I will. I'm just opening up all these documents here, seeing if how long have you been sculpting? Like 8 years. Okay, so since we restarted, I'm gonna have to do a couple things. First, starting with the draw. And then we're gonna go to lowest subdivision again, and we're gonna subtool, split points, split out the ear, and then we'll just redo the ear real quick. Most of what I was doing earlier was rambling anyway, so I'm pretty sure we will survive. Brasileira, sim. Oi, Daniel, tudo bem? Majestic, hi! Go see, how you doing? I don't know what caused the issue. It didn't crash. What was happening was that it kind of froze. Then I crashed it myself. There's ZBrush those ears. Light them up a few times and just kind of work from the lowest poly. Throw a little inflate on there. Whoa, too much. If you ever inflate with the inflate brush set to like the max size, it inflates the whole thing. Know that? Fun fact for you. So then I just grab the snake hook and kind of need a little ear bit. Then move brush and alt, just kind of push in kind of like a cavity here. I guess my new goal for the night is just to finish the ear. I think that's nice. I haven't been my usual workaholic self lately. I've been too sick, too distracted. Life things are going on. Stop. And oh yeah, let's go ahead and turn on back face mask for both the clay buildup and the dam standard. Let's just get that out of the way. back to etching. Somewhat clean. Remember to save. Questions would you recommend for learning anatomy? Oh, bias, but I teach anatomy. So it depends on how you want to learn it. I teach anatomy in two or three ways. So the first way I teach it is like through the makings of écorchés. And what we do is we like name and make every single muscle of the human body, and we learn what its function is. And then the other way I do it, it's much more artistic. And I have clients that like both ways. Some clients like one way over the other, but the more artistic way is based on observation and breaking down the big shapes and like recognizing the muscle. Let me bring up the site for you. Here you go. I'm putting the course link on Twitch for you, and I think it should automatically send it to everywhere else as well. It's gonna the ear will turn out inevitably different than. One of the things that I've been struggling to. You guys know that in my streams I always end up talking about life and career stuff, right? Let me turn the fan off before I get into this. Okay, so one of the things that I'm really struggling with right now is that, you know, I've had a lot of different things happen. Things that happen to everybody, you know, like family issues, moving, getting sick, getting surgery, you know, things like that. And what happens is, and this is something I've always struggled with, and I talk about it a lot on stream, is that I feel like when the time I spend, you know, focusing on that kind of thing is wasted time, you know? Like, oh, I didn't do anything productive today, I didn't do any sculpting, I didn't do any freelance, I didn't make any courses today. You know, that's the kind of thing I do on the daily. And I have to remind myself and a lot of my mentees as well that like life isn't just that, isn't it? You can't just live to work. And it's so easy to become consumed by the idea that our productivity is our worth. Our productivity is the most important thing we bring to the table. And even if you take a day off, a week off, a month off, then you're losing all your progress. You are destroying your career, you're behind, you know, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who struggles with this for a fact, because like all of my clients, they come to me and they're like, I've been so bad, you know, my sister's cat died and my husband got run over by a car and I didn't get any ZBrushing done this week. And I'm like, and they're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, when you hear it like that, you're like, are you insane? Like, it doesn't matter how much work you got done this week. You had to deal with more important things. But then you turn around and you do it to yourself, right? You get yourself, you like punish yourself with these unrealistic expectations. Who here has done that before? Hey, Warrior Maddie, welcome to the stream. HD Giant says, OMG, I just went through this working too much lately and I felt guilty I wasn't productive enough. Isn't that like a cruel joke, you know? It it would be so much more of a wonderful life to live if we could find balance between the two with no guilt. And that's one thing. My mentees and my students, they'll take days off. Trust me, they do take days off. But they feel so guilty the whole time that they are taking the days off that they end up just stressing while they're supposed to be resting. And what happens is it actually is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, they took the time off, and they did waste the time because they didn't even relax. They didn't even de-stress. They were focused on work but not doing work. So like if you're gonna think about work, might as well do it. You know, so I implemented in my mentorship what I call guilt-free breaks. And it works for some people. Some people can't quite let themselves have a guilt-free break yet. But basically we actually schedule out guilt-free breaks on the calendar. And if it says guilt-free break on that day, you're not supposed to feel any guilt if you take a break. And actually like being able to label the day ahead of time, like, and you know that today's a guilt-free day and like everything's okay and your whole schedule is kind of, you know, it accounts for that. It actually helps a lot. It's a pretty good idea. But yeah, it doesn't work for everybody, but it does help. And I've been actually improving on my own, being able to take a guilt-free break. But in my case, I've been burned out for so long now, since May. I've been so burned out that, you know, I kind of don't see the horizon clearing, like the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. You know, like, when will this be over? Will I ever be productive again? Blah, blah, blah. And I have to remind myself I've been burned out before, you know? And here's the thing, right? And here's like a little piece of wisdom that we've all heard before, which is like, hey, guess what? If you don't balance rest with work, if you don't sleep well, if you don't eat well, if you don't take days off, like full days, guilt-free days off, then you will burn out. And if you burn out, then you're playing a whole different problem. Burnout, I would say, is like, it's like akin to depression, you know? You don't want to hear about work. You don't want to see it. It makes you sick. And the more you're forced to work through burnouts, the harder it is to get over it. You know? And I have a whole article, I think, that I wrote, or almost, I don't know. I wrote it. I don't remember if I published it or not, but a whole article on burnout and my ways to get out of it, but they're not perfect. You know? It takes so much time to get out of burnout. And one of the best ways that I've found for myself, for my personality type, so to speak, is one of my favorite ways to get out of burnout is to immerse yourself in the things that made you want to pursue the things you're pursuing in the first place. So if you want to work in video games, like what were the pieces of art, the video games, the stories, the characters, the worlds that made you want to do this in the first place? And I don't mean make it, I mean like go play it, go watch that movie, go read that book. You know, if you love nature, go to the museum and the zoo a bunch of times, as many times as it takes, you know, to make it work. And slowly you'll be filled with the fire to create again. And it might be really hard to sit down and create again. And just another really important thing for overcoming burnout is to just be able to forgive yourself for even having it in the first place and not be stuck in a cycle of guilt. Because all guilt does is it like represses you, right? It like keeps you stuck forever. Kind of like, I don't know, guilt, this, I don't know about you guys, but like guilt makes you feel like you are bad. Like it changes your own reputation in your own mind towards yourself, so to speak. A thing that kind of just keeps you stuck. Try to avoid that. I would do guilt-free breaks on my. I'm glad you think it's a good idea. Yeah. Hola. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't do lives in Spanish. The fires are alive in me. And you're a poet too. Comic Legend says, burnout feels like falling in a deep dark hole and it can be difficult to come back out. One way to help is to take a vacation and also get hobbies that are different from work. Oh my god, so true. I tried doing, well actually I thought about doing hobbies and then like I never really followed through. I remember when my teacher, right, in college, she was like, what are your hobbies? And I was like, art. And she was like, well, what do you do for fun? I was like, art. And she just looked so disappointed and I was like, well, I just fucking love art. Sorry. I just freaking love art. And now I see that that was a mistake because once you start doing your hobby for a living, things change, expectations change, there's pressure, there's a lot of things that you gotta deal with now. Chris Art says, or Chris Wolf says they love art. I love art too. That's one thing that'll never change. The love for art. I went to some museums recently. Boxing Marco says, lots of good points. Gouging through burnout now. Going through burnout now. My recent trip to see family in Mexico really helped me. Doesn't it put things in perspective? I think us younger folks, like, honestly, we all need a little freaking perspective, but us younger folks, millennials and under, we need a little perspective, you know, like, it's really easy to start feeling like a victim or like the problems in your life are really bad and be all consumed by it. But then you go out, you travel, you go to Mexico. I went to LA, you know, and I saw the poverty in LA, people going through actual hardship. And I was like, shoot, like, and I'm here struggling with this thing. It doesn't mean that my struggles aren't real, but it definitely gave me a little bit of perspective. Like, I can be resilient. If these people can be resilient, I can be resilient. You know, which helps a ton. And it's very, very good and important to get out there. It's so easy to just live in your head and start really going deep into a victim mentality. You know, what was me, and especially if things aren't going your way. I know, like, my mentees, they struggle so much with this, you know. It's so tough, like, when you start getting job rejections or nobody is replying. You know, it's really easy to internalize that and be like, well, I guess I'm just not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthwhile. I'll never make it. There's no point, that kind of thing. In fact, I've had a few mentees actually quit in the past. Normally they come back, but some of them just stay quit, you know? And it's real tough. So, like, going out and getting some perspective, both perspective and big picture thinking really do help a ton. When I say big picture thinking, it's like, you know, thinking about, there's like small inconveniences and small setbacks that happen that can consume our day-to-day life. And like, if you turn to big picture thinking, you can remember that this is just one small sliver of a bigger story or a bigger goal. And I also, like, for my mentorship, I like to help people think big picture. Like, what are you actually trying to accomplish? Like, what is your long-term goal? Why do you even do this in the first place? You know, focus on that. Once you start focusing on the big stuff, like, I'm doing this so that I can pay for my mom's house one day, or I can move to San Francisco or LA and work with my favorite artists, or, you know, whatever. I want fame, money, and a hot wife. Totally relatable. And, you know, big picture thinking will help you keep going when the times are dark. But I would never insist that you did that if you're going through burnout, you're teetering on the edge. Like, just take time off. Just make it. Remember that you're freaking human. Like, you're a human being living on a rock, hurtling through space. I went to the observatorium in LA, and I was just reminded that I'm a little dot on a huge planet, but it's actually so small compared to everything else. And I'm here taking my problems way too seriously and overthinking and, you know, stressing. Like, if I die, well, if I die, there's a chance we'll live forever if they come up with immortality in time. But when I die, will I look back and regret not living a fuller, more varied life? Will I regret not balancing? You know, will I regret saying no to going to a party with my friends because I wanted to really push myself and ended up burning out and then just like laying on the floor for 3 weeks? You know, I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I've missed like a 40 million messages from you guys. Olivier says, feeling guilty for not doing sculpts is my daily struggle. I mean, like, it's one of those things, like, another thing we need is discipline as well. Like, you know, feeling guilty for not doing something that you're supposed to be doing is just as tiring as actually doing the thing. Just do the thing. Just do the thing. Just do the thing, dude. Just fucking do the thing. I know it's so hard. My ADHD has never been worse. Ever. Ever. Like, I have 800 unread emails that I'm supposed to read. I have unopened letters. I have, like, everything's halfway done. You know, so I understand. Sometimes just doing the thing, that's not good advice. What I like when I'm struggling with this, and by the way, like, I have ADHD, but I don't medicate, at least not for now. And so I got to come up with strategies. And, you know, not everybody has things like that, but a lot of people have distractions and they have bad habits. What I like to do is I like to come up with external accountability. It works for me very well. And what that means is I like to come up with a system where basically I would let somebody else down if I didn't do the thing. It's part of why the mentorship is so popular, because I'm always disappointed. The people pay for my disappointment, right? In a way, because they're like, oh shoot, I gotta do Anna's homework, and if I don't, she is totally gonna say that she's not mad, she's disappointed, so I gotta do it. It works. But you don't need to go to somebody's mentorship to do that. What you can do is like come up with a friend group that wants to work with you every Monday at 2 p.m. You could stream online and like actually be consistent with showing up, because you know that at least one of your friends is going to watch. They can be going to school or a class or taking a course. By the way, I recommend expensive courses. This is weird. We are more likely to follow through on something if we'd made a monetary investment in it. So if you buy, let's say you sign up for 2 6-month courses, one costs $5 and one costs $5,000, and you get busy and you have to stop doing the homework for one of them, which one are you going to stop? Right? You get that? So do something that creates accountability. Normally that will help, you know, fry my brain into action. Deadlines are great, but real deadlines. It's great to hear somebody talk about these things. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Lo Kuffner. Ratatouille says, damn, you are just talking to me right now. About me right now, for real. Fun fact, besides humans, elephants also like art. That is such an important fun fact. What are you sculpting on, Anna? So this is ZBrush, and I'm sculpting this little mermaid creature, and this is what the current render looks like, so I just want to, like, you know, refine it a little bit more. I kind of like the colors. I kind of like the setup, but she's gonna need arms, I think. Maybe like at least a little bit of the rest of her body, so like this doesn't just float there. And then finish her ears, and then refine her hair. Like basically, she just needs refinement. I know, ZBrush. Haha, same mentality I used to hire a personal trainer. Oh my god, right? A personal trainer will get you to the gym. Because you already spent money on it. Yeah, totally. So like external accountability goes a long way. As a teacher, you know, like classrooms are one of the best things for external accountability of all time. Like as a teacher, obviously you're gonna stay on schedule and do the things you need to do, but as a student, my gosh, when people ask me like, should I go to college? I'm like, depends. Like, how much discipline do you have? Because one of the things that you can't replace about college or a big course or lengthy education is like that somebody's gonna be like on your butt making you work with deadlines, and there will be a punishment for not doing the deadlines, which could be getting kicked out, getting a bad grade, or just letting the teacher down, you know. Which is, it's what I rely on for the mentorship. Like, you know, in my mentorship, I can't give my mentees a bad grade because there are no grades, and I can't tell their parents because most of them are like in their 30s, you know. And so the only thing left is my pressure, my disappointment if they don't get their work done. That being said, that doesn't work for everyone. Then there's also the added pressure of, you know, they're spending money on this, but that also doesn't work on everyone. And then it just comes down to the usual talk. Dude, if you've been in my mentorship, odds are you've heard the talk on like, you got to do this for yourself. You know, you owe it to yourself. I can't force you to work. I'm not there every day. I just can't. But why are you even here? Why are you even trying if you don't care, if you don't want to do it? It's so hard. Like, it's so hard to find balance. You know? I have a feeling that the day I find balance is the day I'm gonna die. It's gonna be like kind of an automatic thing. Like, I'm gonna be like, I nailed it, and then I'm gonna walk outside and get hit by a bus, because I'm pretty sure that's my life's goal, and once it's done, it's done. You can, like, my purpose is over. So balance is so hard. I should have just gone with my plan A, which was to be born extremely rich. King Sea Dog 1. Hey, oh, hey, I saw the SIGGRAPH talk. Good job. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the SIGGRAPH talk. I really enjoyed giving it. And like I said earlier in the stream, during the ZBrush Summit, I'm going to be doing a workshop that builds on that talk. You know, so we're going to be doing it together. So we'll look out for that announcement. Where are my beautiful clothes? I take back what I said about it being beautiful. Let's just hide that. Let's pretend that never happened. Hello from Jamaica. Hi. Comics legend. I remember in school, I was late with an to my teacher. I failed you, master. And he replied, no, you didn't. You fail me. You failed yourself. Never late again. Damn. Start saying that. As it is, right? Yeah, no. I mean, like, my students in college, they you know, they do the kind of thing. They're college people. Shit happens, life happens. Sometimes other classes get priority. Sometimes they, I don't know, maybe they were out partying or something. I don't know. And they just don't get their work done. And like, especially when I have freshmen, they have that high school mentality, you know, like, you know, if I just do the bare minimum, everything will be okay, which is not the case in my class. And so I'll give them the talk. I give this talk every year in freshman year, and sometimes in others too, which is, you know, you're the one spending very large sums of money to be here. So be here, you know. I can't possibly care more about your future, your art, your skills, your career, your dreams than you do. I cannot, if I care more about that than you do, then we got a problem. Because I care a lot. But I'm supposed to be the person in the room that cares the least, right? You're there, putting it all on the line, putting yourself through one of the most rigorous programs ever freaking created, facing me every day, which is not easy for them. Then then you gotta rethink your choices, right? You gotta step it up. Otherwise, you're just wasting time, effort, wasting my own mental health, because I do stress out like over my students. You know, I want the best for them, and money. You know, King Dog says, I had to get a degree from a community college and get nowhere with it before I realized work ethic I needed to have. Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard to understand initially for students. Absolutely. And one of the cool things I like about my job at the Ringling College is that they will get the work ethic. Like, they will understand that it's necessary fast because they are immersed in a community that like does not stray far from that. Like, if you've made it past year 2, you are dedicated and disciplined and resilient, and being the same, even the same room with these people is a lesson, you know. Like, that's exactly why I started teaching there. I went in for the interview. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a teacher, but when I saw the dedication of the students, I was just so inspired. Like, literally, I was inspired, right? I told everybody who was there, who would listen, I was like, this is a place where people are dedicated to excellence. They are driven, they are focused, and I needed to be in a place like that. Just by being near people like that, you will grow. You'll have no option, right? So these freshmen, they will learn. It's just they need a little pushing. And that's, you know, like, goes back to the previous point I was telling you guys, which was, if you're struggling with discipline and you're struggling with getting things done and need to get things done, external accountability goes a long way. Find groups online that you can participate in, like Discord servers. FYI, let me plug mine real quick. I'm gonna put mine here in chat. Find Discord servers and things like that where people strive for excellence. People strive for hard work. People are driven. They're dedicated. And if you want to hang with these people, they're gonna look down on you unless you're like that too. So you have no choice but to step it up. You know, like, try telling somebody who is been working, you know, 60 hours a week on their dream, at least, blood, sweat, and tears, extreme sacrifice. Try telling them that, you know, like, you just didn't feel like it that week. You know, there's nothing more humiliating than that, and I think they will help whip you into shape a little bit, right? Diamonds are formed under pressure. Yes, they are. Guys, I worked so much during college, like, it was borderline unhealthy. You know, I was to not work and things like that because I thought, you know, with my situation I had to be the best, but I regret not taking care of my health, but I don't regret for a second the sacrifices I made to get to where I am. I just like to paint stuff, so I'm just... Not all sacrifices pan out, but what really matters is the overall consistency. Being consistent is super important. So, King Doug says, I think schools need to be a little bit more harsh and not as forgiving. Some people a kick in the gut. The school I teach at is kind of like that. Squirrel, yeah, I even asked my mentor to give me deadlines so I could have a greater sense of urgency. Absolutely. I'm doing like an undead version of her now. It's fun to doodle. You guys ever doodle in 3D? Just like on top of your models? It worked. He gave me strict deadlines. Productive workflow. I have so many topics I've been dying to talk to you guys about. Like, I'm just here like, which one's next? Sometimes you gotta give your sculpt tats. Yeah. So, giving your sculpt some tats and having a little fun doodling and stuff like that, it kind of reminds me of what we're doing right now in the workshop. In my workshop, right? I teach a workshop every Wednesday. You guys can actually join, I think. And so, right now, the workshop is called Art from the Heart. And the goal is to reconnect with the art that made you want to do art in the first place. Because, guys, it's so easy to just become consumed by like what your portfolio needs to be, what it ought to be. You know, like if you want to get a job with Blizzard, you got to do Diablo style or, you know, things like that. And just forget what made you want to do art in the first place. Like, what made you guys want to do art in the first place? For me, it's like really, really almost mundane things. Like, you guys ever been to a museum gift shop and saw those little plastic animals, like miniatures? To this day, when I see those at like Barnes and Noble or something, I will literally like get this little like wistful look. And I'm like, I love these. I want to make them myself. They inspire me, like in a way that very few things inspire me. I get inspired by the old characters I used to make when I was younger. I used to like actually tell stories, you know, and write them and draw the characters out. The characters were all fun, you know, and different. And liked fantasy creatures and games and things like that. And then once I became more immersed in the industry and I decided that I needed to focus a bit more and get my portfolio nice and done and getting it like made, like with these jobs and opportunities in mind, I felt like art became very commercial. You know, kind of like how on ArtStation everybody and their mom has made like Kratos, an orc, random gunman, like sci-fi or cyberpunk days. What else? You guys get the idea, right? It's like the same stuff because that stuff is what they think is gonna get them attention, and let go a little bit of what used to make you an artist in the first place. Like when you wanted to be an artist, you probably weren't thinking about making money. Probably weren't thinking about getting a job somewhere. I'm gonna just assume that. It's a very adult thing. Like most of us became artists as children, as teenagers. So the workshop is about finding what you wanted to do and then doing it just for a month, like a pressure-free month. Like you don't even need to publish it anywhere. You know, you don't have to put it on ArtStation. You don't have to put it on Instagram. Just make the art that comes from the heart for you. And needless to say, we have like 4 dragons that people are making, obviously. You know, did you guys ever notice that shift in yourself when you were making art as a amateur versus professional, or a somebody who wanted to be professional? Oi, Carlos, obrigado. Mas eu estou fazendo mais trabalho, então tá tudo. I would redraw the covers of anime games, like Tales of Symphonia, redraw chocobos from Final Fantasy and game like Zelda. Those were what really had me interested in art. Somebody was like, everybody and their mom made Kratos and laughter emoji. Kratos fan art. Or an orc. Go either way. From a smell, the brush just shoots off into his face. I would invite all of you guys to a little exploration of what went in the first place, and if you ever burn out, go back to that. Make your D&D, your OCs, fan art. I think I'm entering a more wholesome era right now. You know, I'm no longer a hustle culture, guys. I'm gonna change my my brand on. I want to be wholesome. Everybody's like, how do you do so much? And I'm like, well, it only lasted for 10 years. Now let's switch gears. Now I'm going to rest for a while. You guys might hear from me a little bit less during this phase. I have phases like a lot. I've learned to respect the cycles of my psyche and my body, you know. You might hear from me a little bit less right now. The next few months, I'll probably be back really strong in like February next year. It's always like that. Beginning of the year is really good for me, productivity wise. You know, but just kind of focusing like I want to build a more comfortable home. I want to make friends. I want to spend a little time exploring who I am outside of work, teaching, productivity, capitalism in general. You know? I do the other streamers do this? They just come here and talk about like big picture topics and then like go into their personal life details because like I haven't watched their streams in a while. I gotta mute myself and blow my nose real quick. To be honest, the characters I'm making for portfolios are the characters I want to make. I didn't worry about sci-fi and stuff. I'm making really strong male and female models. Yeah, totally go for it. It's important, right? Otherwise you will lose drive. If it's practical compared to buying the stuff. I like work. Comics Legend says it's good to spend time with yourself. You will come back fresh and new. Yeah, like that. In the meantime, I'm gonna keep giving my model some face paint because why not? It's starting to look like a forest druid a little bit. Gotta stop the stream a little early today because tomorrow's the first day of classes. Speaking of things that won't let you get a little rest, I teach tomorrow at 8 in the morning. But it's one of my favorite classes and I'm really excited. But yeah. Work and school at the same time? Well, I teach at the school, so technically I work and go to school at the same time. But FYI, like when I was a student at the school that I went to, I used to work and learn and do all my homework and stuff at the same time. Brutal. And I was a full-time student and all sorts of other things. Alrighty, folks. I'm gonna cut my stream short just because I need to go finish preparing for school. I have a cold. And like I mentioned earlier, it's time to take care of ourselves, right? We have to do labs tomorrow morning? No! Alright, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the stream. The little tips I gave you at the beginning. Hopefully you learned something. Stay tuned. I'm going to be streaming next Sunday, and hopefully I'll be able to go a little longer. Follow me on social media if you want to get more updates. I'm joining my workshop if you want to make some art from your heart in the next 2 weeks. And yeah, stay safe. Try to find some balance. Take some guilt-free breaks. Avoid your burnout like the plague, okay? Oh, Dan, thank you for coming. Maria, thank you. You haven't been broadcasting on your channel for a long time. I know, I'm sorry. It's been forever. Ewitzro, thank you for streaming. Hope you have a good first day tomorrow. Thank you. I think I will. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great rest of your day, okay? Bye-bye.